Welcome to the Artist Impact Podcast, helping you gain confidence, grow your talent, and advance your impact. Here are your hosts, Paul Gibbs and Nate Miller.
And welcome back, friends.
Yeah, we're back.
I'm Paul. He's not. Nate.
It's another Pollinate production.
Pollinate production. Get it? Oh, everybody's going. Oh. Anyway, it's good to be back with you, and we got some. We got stuff. We got stuff. You might even like some of it. Oh, right.
So this is what, episode 31?
31. Yeah, 31.
I think we're up to 31 now, but who's counting?
I think you're right. Who's counting? Yeah.
31 of the Artist Impact Podcast, and this is our podcast dedicated primarily to the independent artist, and with helpful information for you guys to make an impact with what you're doing in your music ministry or performance or whatever.
Yeah.
We scour the internet for things that have an impact on us, and we pass that on to you, a little pay it forward, and hopefully these things will help you guys to make a greater impact at what you do.
Yeah, I like this catchphrase that we never. It just seems to be. I seem to be saying this a lot lately. We're called to help you do what you're called to do, or something like that. We're not going to go hog wild with that, but I think it's a really cool phrase. Yeah. Anyway, but you know what? We like to start with something interesting, if not useful. And so we have this sheet right here. This comes from Ambassador Associates, and they are, Ambassador Advertising, and they give us this every week so that we can give it to you. Did you know? Did you know? They're like, oh, do you know what a toad in the hole is?
A toad in the hole.
It's not worth two in a bush.
Is this a golf?
A toad in the hole. It's something to eat.
Oh, something in your mouth? Like
it's something to eat.
A toad in the hole?
A toad in the hole.
Interesting.
You've heard, what do they call that? Pigs in a blanket? Right?
Yeah.
It's kind of like, but this is a toad in the hole. It's the ultimate British comfort food. It's soft sausages covered in crisp Yorkshire pudding. No, stay with us. Stay with us. Which is baked from a batter of eggs, flour, and milk, and typically served with onion gravy and vegetables.
All right, I'm going to look this up because I got to see this.
He's going to look this up, but I'm not thinking it's going to be real tasty. Toad in the hole.
Interesting.
Look it up.
It looks like sausages in like a bread bowl or something.
Yeah, it sounds like something they do in Pennsylvania.
It's like baked into French toast. I don't know what this is. I've never heard of this.
He might put a link we might put a link in the video for you. Then again, we might not. Well, March 28th. You know what day that is? It's National.
That was yesterday.
National. It was yesterday as we're recording this. All right, here's the question: what do candy apples, popsicles, and corn dogs all have in common?
I feel like that's something sold at the state fair.
Exactly, but that's not it.
What is it?
They're all on a stick.
Oh, jeez.
All on a stick.
Stick with us here.
Stick with All right, that's March 28th is National Something on a Stick Day.
Really?
Yeah, I never knew there was such a thing.
There's a national day for everything. I feel
everything. Yeah, it's but this one is really, this one's important. Let's get serious.
Okay.
March 29th, which is the day we're recording this podcast. It's the 88th day of the year.
Okay.
Now, National what day? 88. What does that number remind you of?
Oh, 88 keys.
88 keys.
So National Piano Day?
National Piano Day.
Is there? Well,
Yeah.
I guess there is such a thing.
It is, yeah. Isn't that cool? All right, we've got more. One more. It's tomorrow, the 30th of March, is National Doctor's Day. Yeah.
Okay.
All right. There's a joke there, but I can't think of it right now, and it's probably just as well. All right.
All right.
We said a couple weeks ago a couple podcasts ago, we were going to talk about MVPs.
Right, because we talked about NFTs.
NFTs.
The last episode, but
A lot of letters here, folks.
What are the MVPs?
MVPs. Well, in sports, it's most valuable player.
Right.
That could tie in with pianos too. Most valuable player.
Piano player.
Ooh, I might be onto something there. All right, it's a minimum viable product.
Okay.
So, you guys, if you're a Christian artist, Christian musician, I think we all want to do our very best. We want to put our best out there, and if it's got to be 100% before we go and put it out there, especially if it's recorded on a CD or whatever, you're putting it out there online. But here's the thought here. Artists tend to want everything to be perfect before releasing their music to the world, which is understandable. Creating music, especially as independent artists, it's a kind of a personal thing, or a very personal thing. And we all want it to be perfect, or to be right, at least, before we put it out to the masses. But the problem is, we're never going to be 100%.
Yeah.
It's never going to be perfect. And just as a side note, some artists, they let that stop them.
Yeah. If you wait for the perfect moment for all the conditions to be right, you'll never move.
Yeah.
You'll never.
Exactly.
Yeah, never try anything.
You'll never try it. So when it comes to music, like this says, you'll rarely get to the point where you're 100% happy. So you keep holding off on doing it. But here's the thought. In the music landscape today, it's all about speed, getting it done quick, getting it out there as fast as you can. And those two things, doing it right and getting it out there fast, they're always kind of butting heads, so to speak.
Yeah.
So we're not suggesting, and this article is not suggesting that you rush and get your music out there with a bunch of mistakes. No. But a minimum viable product. What's another way to say that? It's viable. It's good enough, but minimally good enough. It's not that it's not good.
Right.
It's just you're getting the basic out there.
Huh.
And the idea is to do that. Don't go burn a whole CD or record a whole CD. It's maybe putting a song or two, maybe an EP, maybe a few songs out there to your fans or to friends, or both. I guess they both should be, right? Anyway, getting your music out there and kind of testing the waters to see, okay, here's what I'm doing. I know it's not 100%, but I want your feedback. You're asking your friends and fans for.
So is this talking
feedback.
about recorded music specifically?
Yeah, or also performing.
Because and there's
Mostly
an article that
recording.
we've had for a couple weeks now that we haven't dealt with, which we might get to today, we might not, but it's talking about creator burnout, and it's the idea that, and we'll talk about it in more detail soon, but the idea that there's this push or this, we all feel this responsibility to get content out to our fans because they're, people who have Netflix or a streaming site, and they will binge watch an entire season of something in one night, and then they got to wait until the next thing comes out. So there's the consumer-driven consumption of things, and for us as creators, there's this feeling of responsibility to get stuff out quickly. So I wonder if this is part of that landscape where, it's like, well, it's not quite ready for market yet, but I'll still put it out there in a kind of a half-baked form. I don't know. I'm kind of on the fence about whether that's a good thing or a bad thing. In some ways, it's good because it's forcing people who, like you said at the beginning, if we wait until it's completely perfect and flawless, which it never will be, we'll never put it out. So it pushes us, it urges us to put something out that is good enough for our fans or friends to hear, and keeps us moving forward, sharing our work. Right. As Austin Kleon said in his book, his follow-up book to Steal Like an Artist, Share Your Work. But I'm not sure where that's going.
Well, I think I see. Yeah. And I think you guys, if you want to give us some feedback on this, what do you guys think about that concept? Just to sum it up, I think, and then we'll move on.
Yeah.
Is to as we said, not to wait until you've recorded a whole CD. Number one, that takes time. Number two, it takes a lot of money. You might want to get started with getting your music out there. Especially, this says, I'll just share this too. It's thanks to Spotify and other streaming services, it lets you get your music out there just like that. So instead of going through, and this isn't saying that you shouldn't make it a lot better than that. It says to get started. And I think that's what it's saying. Number one, to get started. Number two, to get music out there on a regular basis. Instead of releasing one CD a year or something like that, which is kind of
nobody does anymore.
Yeah,
unfortunately. But
so it's an MVP, minimum viable product. Check it out online. Just Google that MVP,
And I guess each artist
tell us
has
what you
to decide what that minimum viable
Right.
product is
Right.
for themselves.
Yeah.
What's good enough to kind of
What is good enough?
to keep going.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's interesting.
Let me share that with you.
Yeah, so I got some stuff related to, like I said, we talked about NFTs previously, and now we just talked about MVPs,
And NFT again was
the non-fungible tokens.
There we go.
Yeah.
Right.
So this is interesting. This is from the Music and Copyright Report, and it says streaming and physical gains boost recorded music trade sales to a 7th straight annual increase. So I'm going to just read this. It's a short paragraph. I'll just read it completely to you guys. It says, International Music Trade Body, the IFPI, has reported a particularly positive set of results for the global recorded music sector. Following on from a year greatly affected by the COVID-19 pandemic, total revenue increased at the highest rate this century, with all formats apart from downloads and other non-streaming sources registering growth. So this is really encouraging.
Yeah.
It's like a record high for growth in music. Streaming was the main growth provider, not surprising, and revenue from access services accounted for 2/3 of global trade sales. Not surprising, so people were stuck in lockdown, downloading a lot of music, streaming it, so that, of course, would account for the most growth. But listen to this, guys. For the first time in 20 years, trade sales of physical formats increased year on year. The IFPI noted that the rise was partly driven by a recovery in physical retail, which had been heavily impacted in 2020 by the pandemic. So there wasn't a lot of physical sales when people were in lockdown, but coming out of lockdown, people were starting to buy physical music again, CDs, vinyl, and things like that. And it says, although sales of CDs were up for the first time this millennium, that's interesting.
Yeah.
Vinyl was the star performer, with the growth rate for the age-old format exceeding all others. So that's really interesting. Vinyl outperformed all other physical
And
pieces
what
of
time
music.
frame was that?
This is just in, I guess, since 2020,
Okay.
since the pandemic.
Yeah.
And then it ends up with performance rights and synchronization revenue returned to growth. So all across the board, both streaming and physical sales, they're seeing record highs in growth in music. But it's interesting that for the first time in 20 years, physical formats have increased year on year, both CDs and then, of course, vinyl is the one that's really taking off, which, there's a nostalgic element to that. There's the purist out there who says that, the analog sound just sounds better.
Right.
But it's going to be interesting to see if vinyl can continue to hold that market share, or if that's just going to be another kind of novelty that wears off after a while.
I got a couple thoughts coming up on that.
Yeah.
When we're ready. Yeah.
Yeah, so I thought that was interesting. Really cool stats from the Music and Copyright Report, and we'll have to keep our eye on that, see how these music sales continue. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Speaking of the NFTs, Bandcamp, and that is a music company. They're the ones that took over Cakewalk Software, for one. But Bandcamp, they have finally introduced, or for the first time, introduced NFT sales on their website. Yeah. They're seeing the hype about NFTs is kind of reaching a frenzy, but they're still unintelligible to the average independent artist and music fans. So,
Yeah, a lot of people just still don't understand.
Yeah.
It's like Bitcoin. Like, how does that work? I don't know.
Exactly. I don't know. Yeah, I have
But
no
the
idea.
NFTs,
But
yeah.
NFTs. We're gonna just kind of mention them here every once in a great while because I think we're gonna be hearing and seeing more about that. Streaming subscription prices. This is interesting. Going up by 20%.
Huh.
Yeah, 20%. With prices and costs going up everywhere, the major streaming platforms are taking a deep breath and making use of the opportunity to raise
jack up their prices.
Yeah, to get their prices
Now, is
up.
the artist going to get some of that return on?
Yeah,
Are they going to get a few extra fractions of a penny
I
each
hope-
time Spotify
Yeah.
plays their song?
Well, maybe. Yeah. Anyway, but now this might be in kind of a contrast to what you just said about the vinyl. But this article, frustrated with vinyl, the industry turns to the CD as the big physical media format.
Interesting.
people are frustrated. Now, the timing here, I'm not
Yeah.
sure. It says frustrated with vinyl, the vinyl supply chain.
Yeah, I heard there were issues with that.
Yeah. Finally exceeds the love of the format. So people are more frustrated with how long it takes to get it than than they actually just want it. Vinyl prices are rising by double digits, and record pressing turn times exceeding 6 months.
Yeah.
If you want to get a vinyl pressed.
Whereas you could go to like disc makers and have your discs in like a week or two.
Yeah.
You know, depending on the
Exactly.
order. But
Or if you're really starting out, make them yourself.
yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know. We'll see what that does, because the records they're expensive. Yeah. Did you know the compact disc turns 40 this year? It came out
Interesting.
40 years ago. Wow. And according to this, well poised to be the next comeback music format.
I feel like it
We'll see.
wasn't gone that long, and it's already
Right.
making a comeback.
It's
but
back.
and like you said a couple of podcasts ago, I wonder if the cassette tape is next.
I wonder.
I don't know. The way those things would get degraded and like torn up, and like I always hated when you like hit eject and you pull it out and tape was pull it out.
Pencil.
Yeah, you had to wind it back up. There's a whole generation of kids that are never going to understand why you need a pencil to wind your tape up.
Yeah, I don't know. I'd like to see if I'm gonna say this. If vinyl can make somewhat of a comeback, we'll see
Yeah.
where that goes. Then I think tape will make a comeback as well.
Do you think?
I do think so.
Just from a nostalgic
I think so.
perspective? Or?
I think so, because if people have a desire for vinyl, why would they not somehow have a desire for tape as well? I don't know.
I don't know.
That's just a thought. But speaking of CDs, now this is interesting. I put a question out there on Facebook maybe a week or so ago, just asking Christian artists if they sell their CDs, like at concerts, for example, at a concert, or maybe to friends, family, online, on your website. Do you, and I'm putting this question to you now, if you want to respond. We'd love to hear your response. Do you sell your CDs for a fixed price? Do you just give them away? Or do you ask just whatever donation that somebody wants to give? We had several responses, and of the responses we got, the majority of you said that you sell them. And then we had some other responses that basically said giveaway, donation, and one that kind of ran into each other. You give them away if the person doesn't have any money, then you just give it to them, or just let them give whatever they want to give. So how about you? We would love to hear, and I think this ties in. This is the reason I asked the question, is because of the CDs making a comeback. So
yeah.
And if you get to if you're an independent artist or group and you're getting to maybe a church concert or doing a service in a morning service, or if you've got product available, I mean, who wants to carry? I mean, us old timers, we might, and I never did it, but know about carrying boxes and boxes of albums and selling them at concerts. I don't think we're gonna see that. Number one, because of the sheer weight and size of them, and number two, because of the cost.
Yeah.
You're going to have to sell them for $30 or more, maybe, to make any money. So I think CDs is still going to be the way to go. So
yeah, I don't know. I mean, I know people will do like download cards because that's light, and easy
Yeah.
easy to travel with. You just hand them out. You could be a sticker
Right.
or just a piece of paper with a code on it or whatever.
Right.
But yeah, like you said, with the CDs becoming popular again,
Yeah.
are people going to be going back to burning them and carrying them with them? And,
Right. I don't
Yeah.
know. I kind of think so, but we'd love to hear your thoughts on that. If you have CDs, do you sell them? Do you give them away? Do you just whatever? Do you plan on, if you're going to record this year, maybe do you plan on making CDs, or are you going to do the flash drive or download cards or whatever?
Yeah.
What's your plans? So, info@notespiremusic.com. Yeah.
All right.
Why don't we take a quick pause and come back? We got more for you, folks. Don't go away, okay? All right. Because we are going to be back. And if I push the right button, you're going to hear this.
You're listening to the Artist Impact Podcast with your hosts, Nate Miller and Paul Gibbs. And now, back to the Artist Impact Podcast with your hosts, Paul Gibbs and Nate Miller.
Yeah, welcome back.
Yeah.
All right. So,
All right, what else do we have here today?
oh, we got stuff.
I think the
We got
question is,
stuff.
what don't we have? We
What
always
don't
have
we
way
have? Yeah.
too much information for you guys to fit in
Yeah.
one program. But we got an interesting article here I've had for a couple weeks, actually, holding on to it. This one is by Bobby Borg, who is the author of Music Marketing for the DIY Musician, among other books. And I think this is interesting the way he heads off this article. So the article is 16 ways to build a music fan base. But the way that the subheading says that he watched over 50 YouTube videos on how to expand your music fan base, and he summarized all of them in 16 rapid fire tips. So I thought that was cool. He just went online, just did this search and watched as many videos as he could find, and kind of collated all this information for you.
Love it.
So let's start with this one. Number
Yeah.
one, he says, have a clear vision. He says you want to blow up your fan base just so you can. Do you want to blow up your fan base just so you can be Insta famous, or are you doing this for the love of your music and love of a cause? So have a clear vision. Your vision might be, I want to become famous, and so you're just out there to put your name out there. But maybe there's more to your music than that. There's a message behind it, or you have a specific charity or a cause or something that you're speaking for or performing for, or that it's close to your heart. So figure out what your cause is, the why behind what you do. And have that clear vision behind you, and that's going to help kind of be like your North Star to take you forward. The second thing is to target your market. He says, don't just jump in and hope that you're in the right place. Learn how to identify and carefully target your market. Do not preach to the wrong church. So I love that. Don't preach, when you're, like you say, I'm preaching to the choir. So there's a lot of places for you to go online and to market your music, but are you reaching the people who are actually going to want to listen to your music?
Right.
You could just go out there and do a shotgun effect on all the different social media platforms, and you're going to hit some things. But if you know the demographic of the people who like your music, is it 20 somethings? Is it people who just like emo music, whatever it is? If you understand what that is, you can better target your music and your social media posts so that you're actually going to reach the people who are interested in your music.
Yeah.
Number 3. Study your competition. This is an interesting one. He says you need to understand your competition. And it's cool not just to see what they're doing, but it says learn the things that they did right and emulate them, but also note the things that they didn't do. So you can learn from other people's mistakes so that you don't have to do make the same mistakes. And
Yep.
you learn from what they do well so that you don't have to reinvent the wheel.
Right,
So it's
right.
great. You can learn both good and bad from your competition. And the thing is, we're all influenced by everybody from other artists,
Yeah.
people that we like, people that we don't like. And you don't straight up copy people, but you learn from them and you make it your own. So I think that's great. Study and understand your competition, both the good and the bad. Number 4, set measurable goals. And this is a big thing for goals.
Yeah.
People will set goals, but are they measurable? How do you
Yeah.
know that you've actually achieved it?
Yeah, don't make them too vague.
Yeah, if it's too vague, how do you know? If
Yeah.
you say, I want to be a successful musician,
Yeah.
well, what does that mean?
What's that
How
look
do you
like?
know if you've
Yeah.
succeeded?
Yeah.
So he says going from 0 to 100 followers on Instagram in 30 days is very specific. You can manage your progress and adjust immediately if you're not exactly on course. So he's giving that as an example. If your goal is, I want to get 100 followers in 30 days on Instagram, you set a number that you can actually hit and see if you've made your target.
Right.
So again, be specific in your goals. Otherwise, you don't know if you've attained them. Number 5, he says, work on your brand. So he says all your social media banners need to be consistent and look good. They need an interesting and compelling narrative. First impressions really do matter. So this is a good one. If you guys are new to marketing and brand management, basically you want to have a certain look. Whether that's a certain font that you use. Paul is shamelessly holding up our mug with our logo on it. There's a specific color scheme.
Oh, was I doing that? I'm sorry.
I'm telling, the people watching the video are seeing that I'm explaining it to the podcast listeners. But so if you're going to use a certain logo for your music, always use the same logo, use the same color scheme, use the same font. You want to do that so that every time someone sees that, no matter where they are, they recognize it right away. If you're constantly using different graphics, different banners, whatever,
Yep.
it just confuses and muddle things. So If you're new to brand management and marketing, study up on that because it's very helpful to be consistent across the board so that people can find you and recognize you. Number 6, post great content. This is so great. Like we said the last podcast, like we were talking about songs. Like make sure you actually have something that's worth producing before you give it to the producer.
Right.
Same thing with content. Make sure it serves a benefit to your audience. So don't just randomly throw things up there. Put something out there that your audience is going to want to consume. It either entertains them or makes them laugh. It educates them, whatever. Also, provide high quality graphics and video and make sure that they're native to the platform. So I'll say something about that real soon. But high quality graphics and video. There's a lot of stuff out there that's like really grainy and just rough. And if that's all you have, that's okay.
Yeah.
But you should put your best foot forward.
We're not telling you to spend a fortune,
No.
but do the best that you can.
Yeah. Make sure, if the audio is terrible, people will not want to listen to it.
Right.
If the video is a little grainy, it's okay. But we've noticed that like if you have video out there, as long as the audio is clear, people will sit through it generally.
Mm-hmm.
But if the video and the audio is terrible, no one is going to stand for that.
Right.
But he says about making it native to the platform. So what he means there is like, say you post a video to YouTube and then you share it to your Facebook platform. You're actually going to get more, because of the way that the algorithms work, you're actually going to get more hits or people to see your video on Facebook if you post it in your Facebook account rather than sharing the link. Mm-hmm. Because if you share the YouTube link, people click on that, it takes them to YouTube. Whereas if you actually embed your video in Facebook native to the platform, whichever platform you're using, the algorithms are actually going to work better on your behalf. I know it's a hassle because you got to upload the video separate places, but that's actually very helpful. Mm-hmm. So post great content and make it native to your platform. Number 7, don't oversell, which I might be doing on all these points, but I want to make sure that you guys are getting all this good.
I'll cut him off if he gets too long.
This good content. He says establish a nice balance between give and take.
Yeah.
Your fans are going to appreciate it much more. Nobody wants to feel like they're up for it. They're sitting through a sales pitch. So, yeah, you do want to plug your stuff, but it's give and take. You want to include your fans in on things, give them offers, but don't be ramming it down their throat all the time. That's a balancing act, and
it is.
It comes with time and experience learning
Yeah.
how to do that. But again, learning from your competitors, watch what they do, and see if people are responding. If they don't, then they're going too far, or they're just not going about it the right way. Number 8, establish a smart keyword and hashtag strategy. If you don't know what that means, that's okay. If you do know what I'm talking about, this is interesting. He says, don't just go for the most competitive hashtags. And that's interesting because one of the things I had first learned when you go on Instagram is if you go to set a hashtag for your photo or whatever, you put hashtag and you start typing one in, and then it'll bring up auto suggestions for the ones that most people look for. And so you think to generally just use those because like maybe there's like 30,000 people who have used that hashtag. So that people are looking for that one. But what he's saying is don't go straight for those competitive hashtags, which is sort of an interesting thing because you would think if you use something that's totally rare and that most people aren't searching for, are people going to find that hashtag?
I would say a combination.
Yeah.
Use the common ones that people are going to find and then sneak one in there that's kind of specific to you.
Because he brings up a good point. If you're using just the competitive ones that everybody uses, you're going to get buried. If, you have 100,000 people who have used this hashtag, are you really going to pop up in their feed when they search for that? So something to think about. Number 9, be consistent on social media. So if you want to grow, you have to do this daily. And we've talked about this so many times. Consistency is king.
We talk about this consistently.
Yeah. Good one, Paul. And he goes through, he says, some people say you have to do a post twice a day or, 4 times a day or whatever. Whatever you do, just make sure it's consistent. And the thing is, if you have fans that are looking for your content, and they know that you're going to post every Thursday. So they get on and they look for it.
That's huge.
But if you're random, you're all over the board.
Yeah.
They don't know when to look. And eventually they're just, first of all, it's not going to come up in their feeds because of the algorithms. And they're just going to stop coming back to look for it because they have no idea when you're posting.
If you can, take advantage of the posting schedule.
Creator Suite or whatever.
Any kind of where you can just because we don't face it. Some of us just don't have time every day or every other day to do that.
Right.
But if you can take 4 or 5 hours or a couple hours or whatever on a regular, semi-regular basis and do 5 or 10 posts and then schedule them
Right.
out automatically, that's huge.
Yeah, we're preaching to the choir here because
We
we
are.
we have the same problem with us on
Yeah.
on social media for Nerdspire Music.
Yeah.
Number 10, maximize your efforts. And this is cool too. He says, you need to learn how to take the content you create for one channel and repurpose it in a way that's native to other platforms. So again, it's talking about when you create a certain content for, like over here, and maybe it's a video, can I leverage the same content for a blog or some other platform that's totally different? Rather than reinventing content all the time, take
Right.
the one piece of content that you made for one platform and say, how can I use this everywhere? You might have to change it up a little bit, but you can use the same physical content without reinventing it all the time.
And when you do those posts and you schedule them out, make sure that those are saved so that you can come back and draw from the posts that you've made before,
Yeah.
rework them
Yeah,
a
recycle
little
them
bit. You
kinda.
can you don't have to might want to change them just a little bit. And what I think is really really helpful, and I've seen a lot of Christian artists do on Facebook is or Instagram too, is just not always posting about their music, but posting little devotional type things,
Oh, yeah.
encouraging people,
Yeah.
and those are huge. Those are huge, and that's content that you can kind of put out there on a regular basis. Yeah.
Yeah, that's good. Again, with maximize your efforts, he says, get brand partners to post your content on their sites, or get fans to create content and post on their platforms. So this is again kind of using the idea of the street team, which came to mind. I don't know if Reverb Nation still does that. I remember years ago when I first got on Reverb Nation, there was a thing that you could get your fans that follow you on there to become part of your street team, they called them. And so basically they would go out and they would post for you. Like they would share your music, or they would reach all of their their friends that maybe don't already like you. And so it's a way of spreading the work out by the people who already follow you anyway. So it's a really smart way to maximize your efforts by kind of like delegating almost to people who want to do it anyway because they're already a fan of what you do.
Yep. Give them a very first copy of the new CD coming out, or give them something in return to
That's
help
a good
them
idea.
to help
Incentive.
them to give them incentive to do that. Yeah.
So number 11, these are again, this is from Bobby Borg, 16 ways to build a music fan base. He says, engage with your fans. You have to respond to every single comment, he says, and likes on your socials. You also have to reach out and take the initiative to try and start a conversation with other people by posting on their socials as well. This is a big thing, and I know we talked to our digital marketing guys for Notespire, and they say the same thing. Like, if you're not engaging with other artists or with other with your fans, why would they want to follow you? What is their incentive if you just ignore their comments, their likes?
Right.
People go to the trouble of commenting on stuff that you're sharing. You should definitely respond. And again, it takes some legwork because you got to get on your socials and see, are people responding to what I'm posting?
Yep.
And whether it's you or you have somebody do it for you, respond to those people. Make them feel appreciated because they're appreciating you.
When you see another artist posting something on Facebook that do you just scroll by it? You should like it, because it's going to show up on your like or whatever, or your even better, comment on it, because that's going to if you don't want to comment, just like it, but do something, because that's going to show up on their feed, and it gets your name out there.
Yeah.
And you never know. People are going to reciprocate. So don't just scroll by and I don't want to use the word competitor. We're not competitors,
Right.
but we're all in this together. So if you show support for another artist or another group or whatever, that's going to come back to you. Okay? So make sure you do that.
Yeah, and if another artist has commented on your work, that has to feel good. So knowing what that feels like for you, kind of pay that forward, do that in return for people.
Yep.
It's going to go a long way, and it's also going to help you to network.
Yes, it will.
Number 12, create super fans. This can be done by doing something extra special for a couple of your biggest fans, like Paul already mentioned. Like if you have that street team and you give them a copy, like the first copy, autographed copy of your new album or whatever. Give them backstage access to one of your shows. Let them come up on stage and play or sing with you, or even call them on the phone. So there's a lot of different creative ways. Patreon is a great way for doing this. You give out things for people who support you, but create these super fans, because this turns regular fans into evangelists, this article says, who are going to spread the word for what you're doing and grow your fan base. They're actually going to go out and tell other people, you got to follow this guy or whatever, because I love his work and look what he did for me. And
that's right.
Yeah, it's just a great way to like spread the love.
I wouldn't be surprised, and I'm talking to somebody right now, that you have somebody that you know that would absolutely love to help you with your marketing, with making posts, stuff like that. I'll bet you know somebody that would love to do that. Yeah, check it out.
Yeah. All right, number 13, get controversial. And I think this one's controversial.
I don't think that's right.
It's funny. He says controversy gets people talking. Just be careful not to upset the wrong people. So, it's okay to have a little bit, to put something out there kind of to rock the boat a little bit, but just don't go too far.
No, stay away from politics.
Yeah. And this is the one that you got to take a little balance on. But I think he's just saying maybe kind of surprise people from that, from time to time.
Make them think a little bit, but in a positive way.
Yeah. So, like I said, that one's a little controversial, but I get what he's saying.
Yeah.
Number 14, advertise. Okay, this makes sense, but it's effective. We all know it works. Mm-hmm. Invest a little bit of money into Facebook and Instagram boosts.
Yes. Even
$5 a day, as much as it's kind of a bummer that we have to pay to advertise on Facebook, but that's what makes it free.
Yep.
$5 a day can help build your fan base. But it says be sure to have strong headlines and strong calls to action. So don't just boost a photo. Have something that people have to interact with, that they have to click on, that's going to get them to come back to your website or follow up or do something. Make sure that whatever you pay money to boost is effective in reaching people and getting them to follow up with you.
Right.
And then number 15 is collaborate. And we've talked a lot about collaborating on this channel.
Yeah.
But collaborate with other artists. He says you get access to their fan base, and they get access to yours. It's kind of like a give and take thing. I scratch my back, or your back, and you scratch mine, sort of thing. This works. We see this on podcasts a lot.
Yeah, we do.
So if you have someone else, a host of another podcast come on your show, it's likely that their fans are going to listen to yours, and yours will listen to theirs. Mm-hmm. People who never would have found you before are going to hear your content. That's talking about podcasts, but that can work with artists as well. Collaborate in any way that you can. Do a video with somebody, co-write a song, play shows together and writing songs together. Whatever you can do, there's a lot of different ways you can collaborate with other artists and get a little bit of cross-pollination there.
Yeah.
And then number 16, again, 16 ways to build a music fan base per Bobby Borg. Number 16 is leverage your surfaces. So he says, post your website URL and your social handles everywhere. So your website should link to all of your socials. This is totally basic, but all of your links to your Facebook, your Instagram, Snapchat, Twitter, whatever you guys are using, there should be links for all those social media platforms on your website. Your social links should be on every platform that you're on. If you're on Facebook, if you're on Instagram, display all of them. And that way, and do that when you're performing live as well. If you have a banner that has your website, something that's going to show people where to click to get more information. So again, there's 16 ways, and I like how he ends this. He said, "Did I say 16 tips?" He actually covers 33 tips in a video, which you can find on Bobby Borg's YouTube channel. So if you're more interested in learning more ways to build your music fan base beyond the 16 ways that we just kind of went over, look up Bobby Borg's YouTube channel, and you can find a full-length video there. So great stuff, and I hope it gave you guys a couple
Yeah.
new ideas to try out.
Yeah. If you have any questions about any of that we just talked about, just please do shoot us an email, info@notespiremusic.com. You can find us on, that's our website, of course, notespiremusic.com. Listen to our radio station, WNSMDB, Notespire Radio. It's on the notespiremusic.com site, but it also has its own URL, notespireradio.com, of all things.
See, you're doing that. You're doing number 16.
I am. That's absolutely. I am.
Leveraging your surfaces.
Yeah. Find us on YouTube, our YouTube channel. You're probably watching it right now. YouTube, Notespire Music TV. Yes.
And we're also on Instagram and Facebook.
Notespire Music. So, what do you think, friends? We want to hear from you. Let us know what you think about what we've been covering so far, and if you've got topics that you would like to have us kind of dive into, we'd be happy to do that. Next week, or next time, we're going to some ways to overcome stage fright.
Oh, that's a good one.
Ooh, yeah. I can really relate to that because something I certainly dealt with and still do. Overcoming 10 tips to overcome stage fright. That's an article by Jake L. I'm going to share that. And, we've been talking about music and songwriting and producing and things like that. We'll do this next time. And if maybe you got a suggestion for this, writing a song with just one chord.
Yeah.
Just one chord.
Yeah, I think we talked about 2 chords the other time, but one chord.
I think we did.
I saw that article. I think it just came out today, but yeah, I'm interested to hear that.
That's going to be cool. And we'll have some samples for you.
Yes, that'll be cool.
Some songs. So in the meantime, think about that. There's some very popular songs here, very big hits that have just
one chord. That's amazing.
One chord. No, it's not Horse with No Name. That has 2.
It has 2.
Yeah. Okay.
All right,
I think that's about,
Yeah, maybe next time I'll go over these. One of them is 5 ways to make your songs more memorable. So I'll try to remember to do that one.
And it's not by putting wrong notes in it.
Yeah. It's by putting more than one chord in it. But
more than one chord, yeah.
And then also, I referred to this earlier, but I do eventually want to get back to this.
This is a good one.
From binging to burnout, the creator's economy fault line. So talking about creator burnout in this binge, world that we're in now. But it's very interesting and timely article for us who are creators, whether it's music or art or anything that we're putting online, content creators. So definitely want to get back to that in the next
time. Yeah.
Episode.
So our goal is to put another one of these podcasts out every couple weeks. Please go to our YouTube channel at Notespire Music TV. They'll also be on our Facebook page and
all the podcast streaming sites. You can listen to the audio.
Everywhere. Podcast streaming site. We're putting the audio on, so you may be listening to us on one of those sites right now as well. A couple other podcasts that we do, just let you know, the Just Got Music Hour is a music program that I host. It's a 1-hour show every week that comes out every Friday, the Just Got Music Hour. And we're always looking for your music, so independent Christian artists, that's what we're all about. So info@notespiremusic.com. Please do get in touch with us, and if you'd like to submit some music for that podcast and also for our station, WNSMDB, Notespire Radio. We want to hear from you on that. And then we have another podcast,
which is the Artist Insight podcast, and that's where we interview artists just like you, talk about your music, and get you out there, get the word out there, not only on our radio station, but we have 6 or 7 affiliate stations that also run our program. So we have a couple different packages there. There's a free one that has some limited features, but we have a full-blown package that we can give you more information about that will really extend your reach.
Because we're all about helping you do what God has called you to do. So check out all of that stuff at notespiremusic.com. All right. I think, without further ado, or don't, take care of yourselves.
And take care of each other.
And we'll see you next time. Until then, God bless.
Bye.
The Artist Impact Podcast is a production of Notespire Music, LLC. At Notespire Music, we empower independent Christian musicians to grow their God-given music potential by refining their craft and extending their music ministry reach through mentorship, training, trusted resources, music production, and artist promotion. Notespire Music, helping you gain confidence, grow your talent, and advance your impact. For more information, visit notespiremusic.com. That's NOTESPIREMUSIC.com.